Hello YouTube, this is Christian coming to you with another knife review. This time on the table we have the SOG or SOG Kiku XR, which is, has been around for a while, and I have been carrying it a fair bit, especially if I'm out and about in the wild. So if I'm going out for a hiking, camping, clamping, beach trip, then that usually ends up in my pocket. So it's not a daily carry for me, mostly because it's a little bit on the heavier side, especially as far as plate thickness is concerned. It is quite chunky, as you can see. But SOG is advertising this knife in particular as more of an outdoor type knife. And you can see when the pocket clip has seen a fair bit of use, and it has been accompanying me on a quite a few occasions. I love this knife for a number of reasons. It is really a very interesting knife shape. So what you have here is a flat grind all the way into the recurve area of the plate, and over here we're having a hollow grind or a concave grind that at the same time is concave in shape. So what that gives you, especially with that rather chunky plate thickness, is a really sturdy, stout little blade that really deals with almost anything that you can throw at it. So I've done a lot of whittling with it, opening oysters, opening mussels, you name it, rope cutting, and this knife has never ever let me down. Some people would argue that due to the fact that it is a ball bearing knife, it runs on ball bearings, not on bronze bushes, it is not really well suited to be in sandy environments or out at the beach, but take a little bit of care and look after it, and also it is not overly hard to disassemble. So if you look after it, it's not really too much of an issue that it runs on ball bearings and not on bronze washers, and that has absolutely been fine for me. Now, as far as the steel of this particular knife is concerned, it comes in a CTS XHB, which is a brilliant stainless knife steel. It sharpens up really nicely and sharpens up really to a very fine edge, and also responds really nicely to any kind of stropping that you apply to it. So all of that is really positive steel. It is also cryo treated. I cannot tell or cannot really say that I have seen any positive effects out of that kind of cryo treatment, but day-to-day use I have no issues whatsoever with the hardness of the steel and the way it holds its edge. Now this comes with their XR lock, which is kind of a bar lock that locks the plate by means of that little metal bar that slides over the ramp there that is locking that plate, and the plate locking is absolutely spot on. There's nothing, no play in here, and I suppose from a manufacturing perspective it just makes it so much easier to get it right, because you don't have to worry too much about precision grinds on the engaging areas between a frame lock and the plate engagement area of the frame lock, where in the typical frame lock you need to grind that down to a very minute angle, not to have a lock stick and have proper engagement, whereas the XR lock should be relatively straightforward to manufacture. As far as deployment is concerned, and also retracting the plate, it is absolutely easy and straightforward. In my book, I have to say, I haven't come across any kind of bar lock or XR lock type of knife that I would prefer in terms of snappiness to a well done liner lock, or even a well done frame lock. And that is just the way the knife releases is just not quite as snappy. So the detent ball in a frame lock knife does a really good job to store enough energy to make the blade come out in a really snappy fashion. Most of the XR lock types or flat bar locks I've seen, they just don't offer that. So if I was to push that, it is quite easy to fail deployment. You can light switch it and get it to deploy, no trouble at all. You can thumb flick it somewhat. It's probably not quite as, because your flipper tap and your index comes a little bit in the way, so you really got to focus to kind of snap it out, and then it works. You can middle finger flip it as well, but it's a little bit sharp on the edges, and also it is not really storing enough energy to flip out all that nicely. So you really got to focus to do it, but it works if you were choosing to do so. It works well as a slow roll. That is absolutely no problem whatsoever. And the other thing you can do, and that is perhaps where people say it has a real fidget factor to it, is you can just pull back your XR lock and then just snap it open and snap it back in and snap it out again and snap it back in. So that is your little fidget spinner with a sharp edge if you want to. But for this kind of knife, it really doesn't bother me, because it is really a workhorse. It is intended to go out with you into the wild, and then usually you're focused on other things, not so much on how your knife deploys. So it's absolutely functional. But I'm just mentioning here that if you're really into snappy actions, then these flat bar or XR locks, they're really not quite there yet. So we just recently had a Kunvu pulsar here, and this particular knife also had a really well executed bar lock, but it was still not anywhere near the level of a well done frame lock or liner lock. So this is for the action-minded people, it is probably not really a replacement for well done frame lock or liner lock. But you know, for the purpose it is intended for, that's absolutely fit for purpose, and I have no issues with it. And I just love the looks and just love the blade shape and the functionality it provides with that harpoon style drop point blade. It is absolutely lovely. So the other thing that stands out on this knife and perhaps looks a little bit odd at first is the scale with all its texturing and little bumps in it, almost like a crocodile skin, and I suppose that might even be intended to give it that kind of look. Aesthetically it's not the most pleasing to me, but as far as providing you with ample texture and little dimples to hold onto that knife, once you hang onto it, there is just no way this is coming out of your hand. It is just so comfortable, and there's absolutely no need to choke up on it either. Not that, you know, you perhaps could put your finger on there and choke up a little bit, but really there's absolutely no need for it. It just melts into my large hands absolutely perfectly. And you can see its compactness in this case is really inspiring, and confidence increasing when it goes into an actual cutting task. Your thumb is right where you need it. Also that little harpoon rise here is giving you a nice stop point where you feel, yeah, that is just feels right. That is good for cutting and whittling and all the little things that you might want to do when you're out in the wild. So yeah, another knife that I would say is relatively high up on my recommendation list. Not so much as an EDC, not so much as a daily carry, but certainly my knife of choice if I'm going on lighter camping trips or lighter day trips hiking. Then this is just a knife that I like to pick and have in my pocket, and not have to worry about the sturdiness of the edge, or having something fail or having it chip. It's just it's just sturdy enough to stand up to most of the tasks that I can throw at it when I'm out in the wild for a day. So yeah, the SOG or SOG Kiku XR I think is still available at around $200 thereabouts, and for that price and that purpose, it's really one of my favorite knives, and I can strongly recommend it to you if you're not worried about the action, because that is perhaps one of the few letdowns of the knife, but that is just a side effect of this particular action that has other advantages. It has a more solid lockup and theoretically a higher retention rate, so it can hold up to more pressure than a frame lock or liner lock. Whether that is relevant to you or not, I can't tell, but I personally don't mind it, and yeah, if that is a knife that you find aesthetically pleasing, then I would say go ahead. There's literally nothing wrong with it, and it is a really nice knife to carry around in the woods. Alright, thank you for that, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. Alright, bye bye.